Hello, everyone. I wanted to share something that I created with you and ask for your assistance, whether you're seeing this the day that I'm recording it, which I think it is the 14th of September, 2022, or you're seeing this later. This assessment or survey will be up for a little while. And it's about war trauma. And I know this is not something a lot of families talk about and not something that a lot of genealogists think about, but it's something that affects all of us, whether we are conscious of it or not. So let's talk about it a little bit. During World War II, of course, you can use any war, but we're going to use World War II as an example. No matter where you lived, America, Asia, North Africa, Europe, the UK, everybody was involved, civilian and soldier. And by soldier, I mean anybody who fought. Once the war was over, the propaganda around the world was rebuild, especially if you were in a war-torn country. Get home, especially if you were in a war-torn country and you had to move through various displaced persons camps to get home. And then in America especially, get married, have a family, go to school, start a career, whatever. There was not space and time to process the trauma of what had happened. And I've heard a lot of people start referring to the greatest generation as the silent generation. And I know from working with a lot of families over the years and talking to the children or the grandchildren or the nieces and nephews, they will say, my father, my grandfather, my uncle, my aunt, whoever served, didn't talk about it. Or I didn't know about it until I went to a reunion for that unit. And then I sat at the table next to them and eavesdropped because they would never talk about it with me. And I hear that a lot from women too. The male soldiers would not normally share with their daughters or their granddaughters. In some ways, I guess they were trying to protect them. But the children of each generation that goes to war, the grandchildren, and then it just keeps repeating all the way down through history. We are all carrying all of those unprocessed traumas, and it can affect us in so many different ways. Now, one of the things that people do, I guess, to try to heal is to commemorate, memorialize, never forget. We always hear those words, never forget. And having lived many years between Chicago and the Netherlands and having attended a lot of commemorative ceremonies for World War II, you know, it's kind of, might be a little bit strange to say, but it's almost like they're all just on autopilot. Everybody that shows up for the commemorations is living on autopilot because they're all the same. Year after year, they're the same. There's no healing. There is just, oh, let's remember, let's honor. That's fantastic. But there's no healing that goes along with it. It's just trying to keep the energy of the past alive, which I don't think does anybody any good if we don't heal it. It's one thing to remember and heal, and it's another thing to just keep it alive because a whole country or an individual's identity is wrapped around that one thing. And while some people might take offense to that, I'm just saying it for what it really is. There's a lot of people, especially in Europe, whose primary identities in life revolve around commemoration or dressing up as a soldier and doing reenactment or whatever it is that they're doing. But the question is, especially at this point in history when we see so many things repeating, is that keeping that stuck energy in place or is it healing? For some people, it might be healing. As a whole, I don't know. I question it. I go back and forth. But I also don't see a lot of those people overseas or in America who are reenacting or going to constant commemorations. I don't see many of them doing their healing or the healing around the war or within their own families. And I think we need to. So I have created this survey or this assessment, whatever label you want to put on it, where I'm asking you to look at the things that happened to your family after the war. We're specifically looking at World War II, but really you can apply this to any war. And as you go through and you think about these things and you answer the questions in the survey, it may give you some new research paths to look at within your own family if you are doing family history or military research. If you aren't doing that, you're just working on your own spiritual healing, it might really open your eyes to ways that you have been living out your ancestors' patterns. And this is something that I'm going to be talking a lot more about in the coming months, especially as I prepare to launch the first book in my Soul Traveler series, because in that book, I talk about my experiences with my ancestors. I talk about my military ancestors that stepped forward to help me heal, to prepare me for the life I was going to live with the Dutchman in Europe, and all of the stuff that happened in that relationship, all of the ways that we functioned from, all of the places I had to heal. And there was a very big World War II component mixed in all of that because of the work I did and because of the fact that he was a reenactor and he was a historian in a sense. So everything ties together. And I talk about how he and I were living my World War II grandparents' lives on an unconscious level until I discovered that's what we were doing. And I started doing my healing work because I didn't want to live that forever. And in the next relationship that shows up, I don't want to be living that either. So we are still carrying the remnants of the past. The question is, are we exploring this, or are we just doing our healing work or our genealogy work and we're just shoving that to the side because that's a little woo-woo, too crazy to talk about, or we don't know who to talk about with it? I'm somebody you can talk about with it. And a lot of people do come to me privately and say what they're going through, ask questions. And I'm developing more programs to start talking about this. So if you're interested, go to the link below, take the assessment, give me that feedback. It's going to help me provide you with more content on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and my articles and the different classes that I'm developing. And also subscribe to the newsletter, because then you'll get more information about all of these different resources that are available to help you heal your past and identify what really took place in your family. We've reached a time in humanity's history, again, where we need to be doing this. So are you ready to step into that? If you have questions, please reach out and ask. Just go to the Ancestral Souls Wisdom School website. I'll put the link with this video also. And reach out. Let's have a conversation. Thanks so much for your help. I cannot wait to share all of these new resources with you. And be sure to check back for new content. Hit the subscribe button. Bye.